Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. We are hopping into Red Zone Fusion Zamasu to properly start testing out one of the brand new 9th anniversary part 1 units in Dokkan Fest LR SSJ BROLY. You did see my summoning video yesterday, and even if you didn't, we did manage to pick up a copy of each of BROLY and Gogeta Blue. And then later on in the day, while I was chilling talking to one of my boys who only just started summoning, I decided to hop in with him and do one more round on BROLY, trying to get a dupe in him because I really wanted one, along with a golden freezer. Didn't manage to get a golden freezer, but we did manage to pick up a dupe in BROLY, which I'm very happy with. So he is going to be a little stronger this time around. Group attack's actually in the middle. The friend BROLY is, I think, 90%? No, 79%. I kind of want to see how he does without an item active, but typically you pop an item here anyway. One thing I've noticed with BROLY, with the very limited use I've had of him so far, and one thing that I kind of picked up while using him during the video yesterday, just looking at his stats, is BROLY's not going to have too much defense, especially in base, and that's the one thing that's going to make him take a little bit of damage. I don't think he's ever going to get absolutely molly. I mean, if you get super unlucky and like probably one of the new Supreme Magnificent battle stages like Beast Skull, and if you get super attacked immediately, it's probably curtains without an item active. Do you know what I mean? But that's just because that hits so hard. But one thing is, BROLY's start of turn defense isn't too high. However, let's not forget, during base or during Super Saiyan before he transforms, he is basically mini stacking his defense by 50% for 4 turns, which is very good. But don't forget, in the very beginning, his defense is going to look a little bit low. Like 200k defense is low. But then also he's getting stats in his passive. He also has permanent guard, no condition, no turn condition either. So that helps him out early doors. But one thing is, his defense is going to be a little bit low. And then again, for the limited use I've had of him so far, and it's essentially just kind of completing missions here and there on some of like the older events. So he's not taking loads of damage, but he'll take a little bit because they're not overly difficult, but you know, there's still some challenge there. Like I was just clearing up some stones last night just to kind of add back into the bank, considering we spent a bit more. But not only is he going to be getting that on 18 key from Superin, but then because of all of his extra additionals, again, this is mainly before he transforms, not only are you going to raise his defense by 50% for 4 turns anyway, but then because of all his guaranteed additionals, from his entrance animation to his passive, then if you have him in slot 3, a chance, and then even now skill orbs and a dupe, because BROLY can super attack so many times, he's going to be raising his defense by 30% for another 2-3 more times anyway, on top of the 50 he's doing for 4. So early on, maybe like the first turn or two, his defense is a little bit low. But then as you start to get a few turns in while he's not transformed, and those additionals are kind of picking up within that same turn, he's going to have a decent amount of defense once all the super attacks are done. Those 4 turns on 18 key are kind of, you've done all of those, while also having guard. And again, not to mention, he's also getting an extra defense plus 50% on 18 key as well, as long as it's an ultra super attack, which for the most part, you're never really struggling for key with BROLY. Like, ever. So to me, that's really annoying that I didn't pay attention to the rotation, so exchange moves on the other rotation. That's where BROLY's gonna stay, so we're gonna run it like this. Yes, we're gonna run it like this. Kind of need to run it like this because I'm gonna have Boo and exchange Boo together. Again, I love how kind of vast BROLY's 3 categories spanned and the mixture of units you can have on the team, because there's so many good ones. So many good ones. Boo pulling out the 5 dodge, I'm here for that. Goku pulling out his. SSJ 4 Goku didn't want to pull out his. I mean, he's not in slot 1, which kind of hurts him a little bit, but the group attack's out of the way. So even though his defense isn't where it needs to be, let's not forget BROLY isn't transformed at this point, but his defense essentially behind the scenes gets up to decent lengths again once you're 4 turns deep with that 50% defense, with all the additional supers he ends up doing. And then once you get the domain out, because content isn't overly long, like it's going to be longer than it was, say for example, when Fusion Zamasu was a thing, definitely. But because content isn't overly long, from what again I've seen from the limited use I've had of his domain so far, it really does feel like having BROLY's domain active, you're meant to kind of have the event done and dusted by the time you pop it. Well, not by the time you pop it, but by the time it's gonna run out. If that makes sense. Or at least it seems that way to me, again, with the limited use I've had with it so far. Like, I've even tried using BROLY and Gogeta to do the Power Beyond a Super Saiyan mission against Kid Buu, because I was struggling to do it when that Red Zone Margin Buu saga dropped, and then I just didn't have the time to do it. So I was kind of doing it last night again to kind of just sweep up some more stones. And while it was going a lot better than it was before because of the brand new units, BROLY was still taking a bit of damage here and there. Now, I do want to test them out against Kid Buu at some point, and of course that was restricted to Power Beyond a Super Saiyan units, but by all means that's not a bad category, but we could bring some better units at this point with us. Now, do I want to rely on the 50% chance to dodge? I kind of do. Like, bearing in mind, his defense right now is 372, which is nowhere near enough, even for Fusion Zamasu, especially with AoEs. But again, he does have guard, and again, we still have 3 more turns of this man super attacking to build up his defense for 4 turns by 50%. And again, as I said, the behind the scenes numbers that you're not really seeing is the numbers he's getting from his passive, and then, I mean, it's mainly from the 18 key super, but again, it's never really a struggle to do, especially with all the extra keys getting. I know we do have his extra 70% damage reduction because we're next to Buu tanks. I mean, he's only taking 17k on normals. And of course, the AoE does the same, so he's taking 16 on that. So, BROLY's defense, as I said, at the start of turn, while it isn't too high, at least the guard's there to help him. But this is all before transformed. And as I said, while his domain's active, again, from the limited use I've had while facing Kid Buu, again, we're kind of restricted with the units we use. Not that it's a bad category nonetheless with Power Beyond a Super Saiyan. But it does feel like when you use BROLY's domain, because a lot of the domains recently have been automatic. I mean, Zamasu's is an active skill. BROLY's is an active skill. It seems like you pop it when you're going for the win. Like, you may not necessarily you going for the kill shot, like, for example, an active skill. Or fun enough, a unit that's on this team, God Goku's active skill. That's when you're going for the kill shot. But when you're in that final phase, you're going all out for all the damage. Because once his domain's gone, BROLY's defense drops a lot, I've noticed. So, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I'm just saying, but I know defensively BROLY's numbers don't look that high. But then that is, you know, I said he is getting a lot of buffs behind the scenes. Again, once he's finished up building up, transformed, then the defense he gets from his passive, and then all the defense he's getting because of the amount of additionals he can do as well. Is, I did not mean to hit auto battle. That's really annoying. I was trying to hit items to pop a Whis. I did not mean to do that. I mean, it doesn't really matter too much. Actually, no, it does kind of matter a lot because the orb placement's completely ruined. But we move. But BROLY is essentially getting a lot of defense behind the scenes once he's done like his 3 additionals, his 4 total super attacks, the defense he's getting from his passive. Do you know what I mean? So his defense does start a little bit low, so you do kind of have to be careful early on. But then again, you can always put him in slot 2. And again, his super bosses category and some of the units you can run with him, they are going to get better throughout the anniversary. Like, BROLY's an extreme unit, but he can run on categories with the easier year 6s or specifically SSBE. I can't remember if UI goes on one of them as well. You know, you have BROLY, Chilai, and Lemo, who probably is one of the best supports in the entire game. That's another one. And then not to mention super boss is going to get a buff, you know. Not sure when, but eventually, you know, LR Cell Max is going to come out. Topo is going to be added to super bosses. I'll take that because we can get your revival. So there will be some better units to run around him as well. Not that the categories he can go on are bad, like definitely not. But super bosses mainly will get a lot of help at some point soon-ish as well. I think it's just early on defensively, numbers-wise, because of how much of a gap and how much scaling's happened recently on Dokkan. Like, you need a ton of defense. But again, at least BROLY has that guard early on to kind of help him with that. We can actually transform him. But I mean, he's only got 267k defense right now. I mean, to be fair, his entrance animation has worn off. Because we are on turn 5. His entrance animation is 100% for 4 turns. And that's another thing as well. His entrance animation wears off when you can pretty much activate his domain and transform him. So that's pretty much exactly what we're going to do. And then not only that, we'll probably transform Buhan as well. And then he'll benefit from BROLY's domain regardless. I keep forgetting what his domain exactly does. But it's alright, we'll pull it up in a minute. It's like now Broly's getting 300% attack and defense at the start of turn. Of course, we don't stack anymore, but you don't really have much time to stack against Fusion Zamasu anyway. Pop this. And of course, it's got the 26% damage reduction as well, which is just a big reason why you should slide him into slot 1. And his domain, as I said, really feels like you want to end it while the domain is active, rather than ticking over and the domain runs out. I mean, the domain's active for like, what, 5 turns, I think? 4 turns. So that's more than enough time. But look, 513k defense. Like, it's not enough. Even for Fusion Zamasu, like, it's not enough. But then, again, Broly's getting a ton of defense after the fact. And this is where this 26% damage reduction with the domain before he attacks comes in. Because you're getting 50% attack and defense on 18 key. You're getting 30% attack and defense on 12 key, sorry. You then got the built-in additionals. You then got the possibility of dupes. He's getting a ton of extra defense added on after the fact, which you don't really get to notice. We do still also have a Whis active. I am going to leave it like this. Am I going to leave it like that? No, because Goku has to be in slot 1. That's the only thing right now while waiting for these easy A's is Broly's linking partners aren't the best. They're decent, but they're not the best. I mean, for here, SSJ4 Goku hasn't really been on rotation, so we haven't been able to build him up, but he needs to go in slot 1. And he's aged a little bit to the point where this was Supreme Magnificent Battle when we'd had all the difficult stages out. You don't really want him there. But this is where Broly's about to pop off. This is why he's an absolute monster of a unit, and I think the title of yesterday's video was just, he's dumb strong. That's because he is. He has enough defensively to keep him alive. Right, and again, items are part of the game. If you don't want to know item run, that's entirely up to you. Broly with a Whis active should be chilling. Is he going to take 0 on like the hardest hitting super attack eventually in the game from like Beast Go on? Definitely not. But he will tear you up. He will survive, which is enough, by the way. Like I said, he has enough defensively to make him solid, and then he's an absolute monster. Absolute monster. When it comes to the amount of damage he's doing and the amount of times this man can super attack. And as I said, don't forget, this is all extra defense. He's got 50% from the 18 keys, getting 30% every time he does the 12 key. He's popping off right now. And then he gets 50% defense right now after he receives an attack. So he wouldn't even need the Whis right now. Of course, that's just followed over the turn. We've almost killed Zamasu in this turn alone. From Broly just going absolutely savage. As I said, Broly as a unit is an absolute monster. He has enough defensively to be solid. But then, like, don't get me wrong, I know how valuable defense is in Dokkan. I know how valuable, you know, guard and damage reduction is, and, you know, being able to survive. But Broly has just enough to kind of keep him solid and above some other units. And then it's the amount of damage this man can do. Like, he's so ridiculously strong that is the enemy going to be alive long enough, basically? And then that's the other issue you could run into that I kind of spoke about. I really wanted to see for myself how much of an issue it could be, which is if you transform one Broly, of course, automatically activate his domain. The other Broly who doesn't get transformed can't transform until the other one is out of transformation. Which, I mean, again, this kind of goes into what I was saying yesterday with Global has some extra units, especially when it comes to super bosses, but in general has some extra units and easy A's that JP didn't have when he initially dropped during their 9th anniversary. So we have some better units to go with him. And I'm being realistic, the Boo units and Boo easy A's are one of them. Especially Fat Boo. I mean, we literally just popped an Usher. That keeps our friend Broly, who's not transformed, safe. I know that's a very niche, very specific, isolated example, but it's true. Like, I don't think it's too bad, again, because Broly in base can super attack so many times and get so much extra defense, and again, have guard active, and is also benefiting from the transform Broly's domain. Obviously, as I said, with the new Supreme Magnificent Battle, the latter stages, the deeper you get in to some of these stages, it's probably going to be a bit of an issue. But by then, the event's probably done. If we're being completely realistic. Like, it can be a risk, but the event's probably done by then. And again, you can also use items to kind of cover that fact as well. We're actually going to go one more turn as well. That's fine with me. I'm going to slide him into slot 1. Only 342k defense. But again, that's because BROLY gets so much defense after the fact. So I can't lie. If BROLY ended up... No, because you're meant to run him in slot 1 because there's 26% damage reduction he gets before he attacks. How much is this going to do? It's actually probably going to do a decent amount of damage. I'm not going to lie to you. They've only got 340. I mean, is it quite a bit of damage? Yes. Did he get one shot and almost die off of a super attack alone? No. Teams have like 700 to 800k HP nowadays. That's fine to take. The one thing BROLY will benefit from, which is mad to say because it looks like he's built for slot 1, it's just a lot of his defense comes after the fact, even though he's kind of built for slot 1 through the guard and damage reduction before attacking. As I said, he gets so much defense after attacking. Like, he literally gets 50% when receiving an attack. So, and then, of course, he gets all the defense from SA effect. So, I don't know, it's a weird one. It kind of seems like he's built for slot 1, but you want to run him in slot 2. I don't know, that's what I'm getting. But he's still good. As I said, he has enough for him to survive and then just go on an absolute warpath and tear shit up. Like, that's literally for what I've seen. Even against Zamasu there, like, I can't lie, 70k on a normal is kind of mad. But then he has enough to survive to then go tear it up. Because once he's done supering, those normals are doing double digits. Because he's getting so much defense after he supers, after he attacks, especially with all the additionals. Those normals are then doing double digits. That super attack's probably doing like 100 and something k instead. So as I said, it seems like he's built for slot 1. But has a lot more reason to be a slot 2 unit. That's just me. And that's another reason why I really wanted to dupe at him as well. Just to kind of pack him out a bit more. But, I mean, regardless, as I said, he's got enough for him to survive. He's got enough for him to be defensively solid. As I said, to then just be an absolute monster and just tear shit up afterwards. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. He's a lot of fun to use, though. That is a guarantee. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care, have a great day. And peace.